Good morning, Maggie. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining me today. So for those who don't know, you are from the advising department, and I'm here to talk to you today about what your department does, what your role is there. So let's just get started with that. What is advising, and how does that actually affect students?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. So, academic advising is a service and a department that students will hopefully engage with each semester throughout their entire academic journey here at the University of North Georgia. So, academic planning is going to be that resource and that support system that is going to allow students to connect with a professional advisor that is really going to be their person to help them do a lot of their academic planning. So this person will be your person that will work with you to ask questions about your major, but also to determine coursework for future semesters. And will also help with registration and just any different questions or policies that a student may encounter as they navigate through their academic experience here at UNG.
Awesome, awesome. And I know that you use the word academic advising. For a lot of students in high school, we don't even really hear that word. All we know is we have a counselor, and that person helps you with mental health, applying for financial aid for college, applying to college, all of these other things. So, could you just explain a little bit what actually makes advising different at the college level from, say, the high school level?
Absolutely, because there is a big difference in what an academic advisor looks like here at UNG versus what a high school counselor's role is within that system. So an academic advisor is really going to hone in on the academic piece. So they're going to be the person that you're going to talk to when you have concerns about your classes, or if you're kind of navigating between two majors and really figuring out how does my coursework apply from one degree to another. An academic advisor is also someone that's going to point you towards different resources for areas like tutoring or supplemental instruction. Whenever maybe you're struggling with that math class and you need a little bit more support, you need some help, you need a tutor, that's going to be your person that you're going to go to that's going to point you in that right direction. An academic advisor is also someone that's going to help you with your planning, but isn't going to do all of your planning. The best part about having an academic advisor is you have someone that's really knowledgeable in a lot of different areas about the university, but they are going to be someone that's going to help you develop that autonomy and that independence in planning your future semesters moving forward. And it's going to be that person right there supporting you as you navigate through your major coursework in future semesters as you continue to move through your experiences at UNG.
Great. And you touched on when like you're a first year student or at any point in your degree, you're not sure exactly what major you want or what degree you're actually even going for. Can you elaborate on how your advisor can basically help you through that, how they're trained to actually guide you through that process on a personal level?
Absolutely. So, an academic advisor is someone that you're going to be able to connect with each semester and hopefully even multiple times during a semester. This person will take the time to get to know you and wants to get to know not only the things that you're interested in, but also the things that you're good at and the things that you sometimes struggle with, because those are all important pieces that influence what major makes the most sense for every student. So your advisor is someone that's going to take the time to get to know you. They're going to ask you some questions about what you like to do outside of school, what you're interested in, but also what are your goals? What do you see yourself doing? What do you see yourself not doing? And we'll really, really work with you to think through what majors are going to be the best fit for you. We do these conversations pretty frequently. The average college student actually changes their major between 6 to 7 times throughout their entire academic journey. And guess what? Your advisor is that person that's going to help you make those decisions and really be a good sounding board for you to not only educate you on the different majors that are offered at UNG, but also navigating you through what credits are going to work for which degree and how do we sometimes maximize the amount of credits that we're earning for one degree and also count them towards another. A big part of our job is to make sure that we are saving you time and saving you money. So we want to make sure throughout that degree decision process that we're really mapping out classes that may work for different majors if you're really not sure yet. So if you're interested in maybe pursuing medical school and going more of a med route, but you're maybe also interested in history, we're going to look at classes that are going to navigate you towards both of those degrees at the same time to keep you on track for either major. So a lot of conversations and getting to know our students goes into this in order to make sure that we're really intentional with the classes that we're talking about and planning for. And really just building that relationship with students so that way we have all the pieces to the puzzle, so that way we can make sure again that we're saving you time and we're using the classes that make the most sense for whatever degrees you're interested in.
I like the way you say that it's somebody who's basically going to make sure that they're saving you time and money. Because a lot of people, when they get into college and they don't know their major, I feel like they are the only one, number one, when they're not. And number two, like once they make a decision or start taking some classes in that major, that they just can't change it, or that it's going to cost them more money, they're going to have to start over with classes. But they're actually really flexible with a lot of the requirements, where classes can fit into certain requirements. So I feel like your advisor is the person that reminds you that it shouldn't be overwhelming, that explains things to you. Um, and I just like the way you put that they're reminding you that like things are flexible and we can move them around. Like it's not as rigid as people assume when you first get to college.
Yeah, that's the scary part sometimes, is figuring out like, are the class that I'm taking right now going to be the end all be all for whatever major I choose? And that's especially where with our students that are navigating through like their first 2 semesters with us, that we're really intentional with those conversations of like asking you frequently about how you're feeling about your major and allowing you to be really open with us and have those conversations, because it is important. I've worked with students who felt like they couldn't tell me that they wanted to change their major because they thought I would get upset with them because I only advised nursing at the time. And it's like, no, like I want you to tell me whatever you're interested in. So that way we can make sure that we're focused on whatever you're interested in. Because once you get kind of pigeonholed and really pursuing one specific type of class, one specific type of degree, and you move through upper level classes, that's where it becomes a little bit more challenging to do more of that exploration. And so that's where during your first few semesters, it's so much more fun to take some classes that you may be interested in, but didn't even know existed. And to have those conversations with your advisor to make sure that those credits will go with you no matter which degree you pursue. So that's the best part about college, is that there's more flexibility with your coursework, which makes it a little bit more fun along the way, especially when you're working with people that are going to push you in those directions, to really explore and get outside your comfort zone a little bit too.
I agree 100%. And there's also something else I want to touch on. So I'm, for example, a student that works full time, and I have a part-time job with UNG, and I go to school full time. If I'm coming into UNG and I have commitments such as work or something else, maybe I'm an athlete and I need to have time in my schedule set aside for whatever activities pertain to that. How can my advisor help me figure out how to schedule my classes around my life, basically?
Yeah, no, that's a really great point. Because for some people, school isn't their only focus. Sometimes school is half or a third of their whole life. And so we have to make sure that school also fits with life. Um, Much like you, I'm also a student and I also work full time, and I also have a small child. So there's a lot of pieces that you have to consider. So much like the same experience I hope for myself, I hope for all of my students. And so your academic advisor is someone that's going to ask you questions about your life. Not only do they want to get to know you about the things that you like about school, what you like to learn about, but they also are going to take that time to get to know you as an individual and to ask those intentional questions about your work experiences and your work hours, because that's really going to determine what coursework looks like for you each semester. And I think that's a really valuable piece that has to be factored into each student's planning as they move forward. Because it may be that you could only take classes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because you work Tuesdays and Thursdays. But your job, you don't go in until about 3 o'clock and you work until 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. So you're really only looking at classes that are maybe in the morning on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And your advisor is that person that's going to help you sift through some classes and help you figure out, okay, how can we make this schedule work? What does that look like? And if maybe they're not the one that's sitting down walking you through it step by step, they're going to give you the tools on how you can do that yourself. So that way you get more comfortable with navigating through figuring out the most appropriate schedule for yourself. Because that's such a valuable piece. School is an important part of your growth as a person, and we want to be a priority. However, we know that it's not always going to be the top priority. So, what academic advisors will do is they're going to work with you to learn a little bit more about your schedule and what your needs are, and help you navigate through how do we build that schedule that works with your life. And that's conversations not only around days and times when classes are offered, but also around how many classes do you take? Because if you're working full time and you have a part time job, I don't know if I would necessarily recommend taking 15 to 18 credit hours a semester. It can get a little crazy. So we also have really intentional conversations about, okay, if you're working full time, maybe we need to look at you only taking 2 to 3 classes. But what does that look like for your future if you have a really specific timeline that you want to graduate within? How do we map that out? And that's where your advisor comes into play. And they're really, really willing to sit down and walk you through what that timeline looks like, but also how does that impact your progression as you continue to move forward within your coursework.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned how if I'm working full-time and I have a part-time job, I shouldn't be doing full-time school. I have that conversation every semester with my advisor, and Dr. Chan always looks at me and he goes, Valentina, I don't know how you do it. And I don't recommend it. And I'm like, I am glad you don't recommend it. And I will take that with a grain of salt because I have to
Yeah,
graduate by a certain time. But
absolutely. And you have to know what's best for you. You know yourself more than anyone else. So if you know that you have the willpower and the gumption and the initiative to take that 15 to 18 hours while you're working full time and a part time job, then go ahead, do it. But know that if at any point you have mechanisms in play that could come help you
yes.
if you ever get into a situation to where you're like, oh, wow, maybe I need to withdraw from one of these classes. And your advisor is that person that you can go to have those conversations with to say, like, ooh, I really don't know if I can manage all of this. What are my options? And that's what an advisor does too, is they advise you on those situations. They help you navigate through those pieces if you hit those roadblocks to where life may conflict with school, and can navigate you through just the different resources and opportunities that you have to make sure that you continue to stay successful and that you don't feel alone throughout those processes.
I love the way you said that because I feel like a lot of people assume you just meet your advisor once in the semester to sign up for the next semester's classes and that's it. But when you actually have an ongoing relationship with your advisor, you talk to them more than that one time when you're registering. I feel like it gives you much more perspective on the resources that you actually have because your advisor doesn't just have to advise you on academic stuff. They also are part of the university. They can tell you, oh, well, if you're having problems with this, there's an entire department that deals with that and they're here for you. You just have to walk in or call or whatever.
Yeah,
So I feel
no,
like that's a really important point that you made that students don't always remember.
absolutely. Like, we're really friendly people. We
Mhm.
really like people. We really like students. So that's why all of us get into this job, is because we really like to help students figure out those pieces and to also navigate college. If you talk to any of us, you'll probably find that some of us have struggled navigating through college when we were students, which is why we end up doing what we do, is because we often want to change that experience that we had, but for other students. And that's exactly what we do. You can go see your advisor whenever you want. Most students will have a hold placed on their account for mandatory advising, where they will be required to meet with their advisor at least one time during the semester. But that's not the only time. We have a really cool online appointment booking system that allows students to go in and make appointments kind of whenever they want throughout the university hours during the week. And you can meet with us virtually. You can come meet with us in person. It's really up to you and what your schedule looks like. But once you kind of figure out that system and how to make an appointment, I feel like when students are like, I have these questions. Maybe I should go ask Maggie. And like, yeah, if you ever have that feeling at all, just do it. You can see your advisor as many times as you want. And that's what we want students to do. We want them to come back in and see us, and not just be this one time exchange of information between the two of us. Um, utilize your advisor. They're filled with a lot of knowledge. They know a lot about a lot of different areas, especially your major, but also about the university. So hang out with them, get to know them, and really take the time to learn that information from them because, wow, they're filled with a lot of knowledge.
I agree with that 100%. If there's anybody that you like should be saying more than once this semester, it should be your advisor. Which leads me to my next question. So most students, when they start at UNG, they have they automatically are put into classes, and they probably will know who their advisor is, at least because of registration and how that process works. But after that, and you talked about that a little bit just now, but I want students to make sure that they understand, if I want to find out who my advisor is, or I'm not sure, or I see a name when I open a banner, but I want to figure out how to get in contact with them, what does that process look like? And when I'm trying to get in contact with them, if like that appointment system is in place, or if that system is not in place, maybe my professor is listed but they don't use that, what are the different ways that I can basically make sure to get in contact with them?
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question because I feel like, especially for new students, it's something that we want you to have that information really soon within your onboarding process and welcoming you into UNG. So, as you mentioned, throughout the advanced scheduling process, whenever an advisor goes in and actually builds your schedule during that first semester, there's a good chance that that person is your assigned advisor, which is fantastic because that person's going to do some outreach and hopefully try to connect with you before orientation. However, if you're getting ready to start your first semester at UNG and you're like, who's someone that I can talk to about my schedule? Who's someone that can help me throughout this process? And you're like, I think they mentioned an advisor during orientation. Where is that person? So you can always find your advisor's contact information and who they are and where they're located by logging into Banner. And underneath your student tab, you'll be able to navigate to student records. That first link at the very top underneath student records is called your student tran guide. You've probably heard a lot about your tran guide, maybe during the online pre-orientation modules and also at orientation. But if you scroll down on your tran guide, you'll actually see a section to where you will have an advisor listed. You should see your degree first, then your minor if you have one, and then you'll see your advisor's name. It'll list their first name, their last name, their email, and their location. So their name should also be listed there, and next to it, you'll see a link that says schedule an appointment. If you click that link, that will take you to the online appointment booking system that I mentioned earlier. That system will automatically be linked to the advisor that is assigned to you. So if you're one of my students and my name is on your tran guide, you'll click that schedule an appointment link and it's going to take you to my calendar. So that way you can go in and select that 30-minute appointment, which, like I said, you can designate if it's online or in person. And then you can actually book with me. So no matter if you book a virtual appointment or a face-to-face appointment, you should get an email confirmation that that appointment has been booked. And it will also sync to your Outlook calendar that is tied to your student account. So that's a helpful part, is if you're already logging into your UNG email, which I encourage every student to do well before they sign up for orientation and get here, but it will also sync to your Outlook calendar. So that way it's on there, you remember the time, and you get that confirmation. You'll also get a confirmation for your appointment 24 hours before you scheduled it too. So you should get at least 2 emails to kind of help remind you about that appointment. But let's say that you're assigned to a faculty member and you click that schedule an appointment link next to their name and it takes you to the online appointment booking system. But then whenever you get to that landing page, it then tells you that your advisor does not use that system. What you will want to do is you'll want to email your faculty advisor and say, hello, here's my name. I'm one of your advisees. I would really like to meet with you to discuss fill in the blank here. Because there is a chunk of faculty members that do not use our online appointment booking system. And they do things more so via email and have their own methods for scheduling appointments with students. But if you're working with any professional advisor across the 4 campuses, actually 5 campuses, and online, then you can use that online appointment booking system to schedule an appointment with us, which is just helpful. I feel like online booking systems are like all the craze. Everyone uses them, like for everything. So it's really convenient, and that's how you can find not only your advisor information, but also how to make those appointments as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad that you touched on that because when I first went to do my advising appointment, it was with my advisor, Dr. Chan, and he let me know immediately. He was like, I don't use this. I have a meeting that day. I'm really sorry. Let's find a time that works. And I found it actually easier to just email him because I always know generally his availability by the time the semester starts. But once you actually do it, I feel like you get over the fear of I don't know who this person is and I'm supposed to talk to them and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So I felt like that was important to address if your advisor doesn't do that, or if they do, what does that look like? So
Yeah,
we
no,
can,
that's great question. So I'm glad you asked because we get that a lot too. And your advisor will try to contact you
yeah,
throughout semester two, and they're going to provide some of that same information. So if you ever get that feeling of like, ooh, I need to go in and I have to meet with this person, what are we going to talk about? Who are they? Just know they are a friendly face, and you're going to talk about your classes this semester. You're going to talk about classes for next semester. You're going to talk about your degree. So go in prepared with questions and go in prepared with some thoughts on pieces that you want to think about for your future semesters, because then you're gonna get a little bit more bang for your buck whenever you go in prepared for an advising appointment.
that is very true. That is not how I typically do them because it saves you time. And when your advisor asks you something, you're like, what are you thinking about? And you didn't think about it before and you're kind of on the spot. It feels odd. And then once you actually know, okay, they're probably gonna ask me about these three things, you go in and you feel much more comfortable. And as time goes on, and you build that relationship with your advisor, things get easier and you feel like you really are just talking to your friend who's helping you graduate, basically.
Absolutely. I don't know what I would do
Yeah.
without my advisor. She is fantastic and is someone that, an advisor is someone that's not only going to help you with classes in your major, but also sometimes going to just give you some really nice life advice, or going to encourage you or challenge you or push you. And that's all the fun that comes along with that relationship with your advisor, is just building that connection, feeling like you have someone here at UNG that you can trust, but also someone that you can go to and ask all your questions to, that if they don't know the answer, they're going to help find someone that does.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah. So we've talked about the importance of going to your advisor. There's nothing to fear, and everyone should try to go at least more than once a semester, and how to find your advisor, how to get in contact with them. Is there anything else you want students to know before we hop off?
Yeah, I think just one of the biggest pieces that we stress here at UNG is utilizing your resources, which sometimes as you're coming into college, you don't really know what resources mean and what that entails. So if at any time along the way you feel like you have a question and you don't know where to go, how to get it answered, I want you to contact your advisor. Because like I said, if they don't know the answer, they are going to find someone that does. So if at any time you're like, I really don't know what the withdrawal deadline is, and I'm just really not sure if I want to stay in this English class anymore, contact your advisor. If you're like, I registered for this math class, but I don't know if it's the right math class for me, contact your advisor. If you're having a disagreement with your roommate and you're not sure how to handle it, you can contact your advisor and they're probably going to get you in touch with someone else. So just know that if you are needing any type of support, your advisor is someone that's going to help you along the way and is going to, just be a good support service for you as you navigate through your career here at UNG. But it's also someone that's going to be in your corner, that's going to have your back and is going to help you along the way. So you may not know who they are, but don't worry, they are going to email you. They're going to make sure that you know who they are, and lean into that person and just know that they have a lot of really great insight and knowledge and are here to make sure that you are successful. No matter what you think successful looks like, they're going to help you along the way.
Awesome. I think students will hopefully know that and at least have an idea of what to expect when they come in to see their advisor. Thank you for talking to me today. I hope students got a lot out of this. I'm sure they probably did because this is a gajillion times more than what I ever experienced when I was a first year student. So yeah, anyways, thank you very much for your time. Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to you, like genuinely.